right, welcome back to the Forest Brothers podcast. It's your boy Mutsa Chris Don back in the cut with my two brothers, Nkosi and Samson. What's up, brothers? What's going on? What's going on? Lovely to be with y'all again. Listener, today we are talking about Chelsea. Chelsea versus Aston Villa, to be more specific. It was a 3-0 game. And I want to throw it to our resident Chelsea fan, supporter, analyst, Mr. Nkosi, and hear his thoughts on that Chelsea romping. I'm sure he has a lot to say about the boy Colt Palmer. So, Mangoro, over to you, sir.
Chelsea, man, they're quite the team, Chelsea. When I was sitting there watching that game, I think the good times are returning. I think we've been through some difficult times the last couple of years, the last 2 years. I think what Enzo Maresca has done in the last few months since he came into the job. I know there was a lot of chatter about him being sacked in December when we were losing games in preseason, but what he's managed to do, which is what I do commend the club for during the summer and bringing him in, is number one, the style of play. Number two, the improvement and the coaching of players. Last season, people said things about Nicholas Jackson, but this season, they're now putting him in top 3 strikers in the Premier League. It's those aspects. The other thing is now being able to manage the squad. We have a very big squad. There's something even that is not even spoken about as yet. Next season, we have Mike Penders coming in, another keeper already signed. We have a centre back, Angelino Ansomino, is coming in. The next generation. We have an Ecuadorian wonder kid coming in, Kendry Paez, and the biggest one of them all, Esteval Willian. And to see the transition that he's setting up the team for, that's why I always mention that people like Noni Madueke and them should be worried because of all these kids that are coming through. But I digress. Let me get to the game. So we saw Mr. Enzo Maresca go down a very unique path where he played sort of a back three, but then he accommodated the biggest problem that I believe a lot of people have mentioned in Chelsea and outside of Chelsea. How do you accommodate Lavia, Enzo, and Caicedo? And we saw it against Aston Villa. It was brilliant. I didn't expect that. I don't think Aston Villa expected that. Even you guys didn't expect that. What he was able to do with Caicedo mainly, it's not picked up a lot. The way he was able to invert and then step into midfield. He's naturally a midfielder, but he can play right back. That ability to step into the midfield and then create a 3v2 against the Villa 2. You saw Tielemans and Kamara just giving the ball away countless times. Martinez, I think he had seen his boy Enzo from national team, so he wanted him to give him the win because some of the things he was doing there between the sticks was truly, truly interesting. But I think I do commend the performance of the boys. I give them credit. We looked fluid going for. We always look fluid, but we looked even more fluid. We spoke about Jadon Sancho. He was back yesterday. And he looked mesmerizing, as always. I know people have been saying, oh, Jadon Sancho misbehaving this. Came back yesterday, he proved to you why is Jadon Sancho. Pedro Neto, week after week. People are dancing. We should open up a little dance studio there at the bridge because people are dancing week after week. Look at Digne. He knows very well yesterday. He was doing the Ben White. That's what he was doing. So, in all honesty, and Jackson. He's scoring now. I'm still critical of Jackson. I should still be critical of him. I can praise him, but I should still be critical of him. There are chances where he was through and he hit it over, or he decided to do something that was not supposed to be done. But I have to close it off with the coldest man on the planet. This man, I think they should just give him player of the season now. I can hear Mo Salah conversations. We should give him the player of the season. Last season, he won Young Player of the Season. He can't win it again. So the gradual progression is to give him the Player of the Season. This guy is on FIFA Pro lists for best 11. So I think it's time we give it to him. And the glory days are back. what Maresca has done, and he's mentioned he's ahead of schedule. I'm actually frightened to know what he means by we're ahead of schedule. Where does he see it? That's just my take. I'm also very keen to hear your guys' opinion on where you saw Chelsea at the beginning and what you're seeing now, because what this guy Maresca is doing, hey, the streets are talking. It's very noisy. It's very noisy there when you support Chelsea. I'll hand it over to you, Samson.
Yeah, to start with your question, like where did we think Chelsea was going to finish? I was in a sort of wait and see position. I think I had them finishing fifth this year. And that's mainly because I thought it's definitely going to be better than last year. Because I think Maresca at Leicester showed that he can, number one, play really good football and he can play winning football. I know things kind of crumbled there at the end, but it was a really good season from Leicester. So when you take, when you look at what he was trying to do there and you give him better players, it makes sense that, you would see this kind of performance from Chelsea. And yeah, I think Chelsea fans like Mongor, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. The team looks very solid. I think even more solid defensively than I thought they would be. That being said, Aston Villa did have some opportunities. I mean, I think you, Mongor, you have to admit, Watkins were, he showed us why he's been not playing 90 minutes for a lot of games this season, because some days the guy, some days he's unplayable, and other days you're like, why did we start this guy? Why did we not just start, John Duran and give him a chance today? Because he has days like that. But anyways, it was a solid performance. I like the Nico goal, and I'm still not a believer of Nico Jackson. I think he has, he's clearly a talented guy. He doesn't even really look like a striker. He looks more like a winger. That's how skillful he is on the ball. But I just, at the highest levels, I feel like game intelligence, is one of those things that you can't cheat. You can't, you can be fast, you can be strong, but intelligence on the pitch, you get exposed eventually. So I feel like until I see Nico Jackson grow up, I can never trust him. Same as Darwin Núñez. He's better than Darwin Núñez, but it's the same sort of story where like I have to see you mature a little bit more before I can start praising you. And yeah, the only other guy I think I'll speak about is Cole Palmer. Yeah, I saw the goal. I actually thought, it was a good goal, but it was one of those where I'm not even sure if he meant it, because he was kind of falling. He was off balance. He's falling. But I think Cole Palmer is just one of those guys. When he's on his game, when he has space to move in the midfield, he's controlling things. He's on the ball. He can dribble. He can pass, and his game starts to flow. He just does stuff like that. He just gets into this rhythm, and he seems like he can just do whatever he wants. And I like Cole Palmer a lot, because a lot of young players in this league, they will get a little bit of shine and they will stop trying things. They'll be wary of, or like they will go to the one thing that worked and just do that and like try to recreate that. Whereas Cole Palmer just feels like he's just playing, he's just playing with freedom. He's trying, like he'll think of something on the fly and he'll try it. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but he'll do it with confidence. And it's the sort of thing that, I think he could be a real star for Chelsea for years to come. So yeah, a lot of optimism in the Chelsea camp, I would say. So yeah, good for you, Mongoro.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm starting to get it with Cole Palmer. I was a hater for a long time. I thought the boy was a fluke. I thought it was going to be a one-hit wonder. I thought he had a couple of good games. Most of it because I didn't have him in FPL. Now I do. and now I'm benefiting. A lot of my opinions on players are based on my FPL listener, in case you do not know that. But I'm starting to see the light. I am starting to see the light. Even with Jackson, I think the thing that Jackson lacks the most is aura. He does not give me striker aura. He does not give me like, if I don't know, it's there's a certain aura that a striker is supposed to give you. Like, I know that this guy he's lethal, but the boy Jackson, I don't. It feels like every goal he scores is just by luck, as compared to this guy's a killer. Anyway, that's my little 2 cents of those two players. I was actually gonna ask, like, for our listeners out there who saw this moment of the game and they didn't really fully understand what was happening. There was a moment where a Villa defender passed the ball back to Martinez in the box, and it was a foul, but it was not a penalty. It was a free kick. So I actually want to, like, just on the technical, we're gonna get a little technical here, listener, just so that for anyone who was confused, they are well aware of the rule that this is what happens when you do this and this and that. So I'll actually pass to you, Mangoro, since you are our resident football expert. Can you explain a little bit to the fans what that moment was and why that rule exists? Why was it not a pen? Why was it a free kick instead? And what are the parameters of that rule?
So that rule in itself is quite a abstract rule in itself, from what I understand. It was what they deemed as an intentional back pass from Pau Torres to Martinez, because you saw them panic there for a second as Martinez picked it up. And deep down, they sort of knew that they've potentially done something wrong here. And it wasn't given as a penalty because by the rule of the law, that situation is not what they call a foul that you think of. It's kind of like an abstract foul where you can't penalize like a handball or a pull on a shirt or a trip in the box like for a penalty. So in that instance, but you have to take what is called an indirect free kick. They used to be very popular indirect free kicks in the Premier League. Now they're not contested anymore. It used to be like, especially like if someone was going for a high ball, one went with his leg, the other went with his foot. It used to be a contested ball, but then now, in that situation, since it also falls within a unique part of the field, the 18 area, they had to play they have to play like a short, they have to pass it before they shoot it. You can't shoot it directly. As you saw, I think Enzo passed it and Cole Palmer took the shot. That's like how the rule works. It's very abstract, but I think it wasn't surprising that happened. Like Aston Villa yesterday were doing very strange things there in the goal, especially Martinez, and then he went off at halftime. There was one moment that I will not forget in the second half, even just Aston Villa's goalkeeping yesterday as a former member of the goalkeepers union. There was one moment where I think in the second half, actually it was a few moments. They were playing in the second half, Aston Villa, trying to play out from the back, but they didn't have the players. And Robin Olsen is not a ball-playing goalkeeper. And I don't know, I think he was being pressed by Jackson. And I don't know, in his mind, he thought he was Edison. And he just tried to ping it out to the left wing, to the left back. And literally, Dino was standing by the line of the 18. And he looked at him and was like, yo, fam, I'm standing right here. Why do you think I'm there? Like, why would you think you can play some pinged ball over to me like I'm there, but I'm not there? And it just went out. So that was the state yesterday at Aston Villa. Like, for me personally, Aston Villa, like, they went up to par, and you can only beat what's in front of you. And I just don't want to echo something on Chelsea. I know you all mentioned something about we're optimistic. I still maintain, and I'll maintain it even more at this point, at this juncture, on the first week of December. Chelsea now and end of January, we stay humble. We're not getting carried away by a lot of this media talk and all these things. We stay humble. We're not going to be are confused by all this talk in the media and stuff like that. They called us the £1 billion bottle jobs, We will accept the title. We will continue to be the billion pound bottle jobs. That's how they view us. They can't change their opinion on us now and start calling us title contenders. No, 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 no. You cannot do that. You called us that. We will take the title. We're going to wear a t-shirt and we're going to own it. We're the billion pound bottle jobs. You labeled us that. We'll continue being the billion pound bottle jobs. Don't call us title contenders. Call us the billion pound bottle jobs, and we'll truly accept it.
Nah, that's crazy. That's fair. So let me direct this to Samson. Samson, I'm not sure how many Aston Villa games that you watch, but for the ones that you do watch, right now Aston Villa is probably in their worst form in a really really long time. Like if I look at their last 5 games, they haven't won a game essentially in the last 5 games. They're currently 12th in the Premier League right now. Things just don't seem to be gelling well for them. And Unai Emery is your former manager at Arsenal. So I was kind of curious if you have an idea, like what's going wrong at Aston Villa right now? What is actually happening? Like, is he going through the same thing that Pep is kind of going through? Is it something else? Is it just like Aston Villa have never been in a position where they're playing this many games and they cannot handle it? Yeah, I'm just kind of curious on like what your opinion is on their form right now and whether you think that they can improve. Because thinking about their next games, Aston Villa have a pretty good run. For example, the next 3 games they play Brentford, Southampton, Nottingham Forest. So if they have any things to fix, those are the 3 good. I mean, Brentford is kind of hard, but these are games that you can actually fix whatever is wrong. But anyway, I just wanted to know if your opinion on Aston Villa right now and what's going wrong for them at the moment.
Yeah, and before I get into the Aston Villa form, I will say, if Mangoro really wants to stay humble, let me talk about the other side of Cole Palmer that he could work on because like we are about to talk about, that was a very poor Aston Villa showing. So, it was sort of like the perfect game for Cole Palmer because he had all the space in the world in the midfield. We even mentioned in the beginning, Aston Villa players have the ball, they're building up, they give it back to Chelsea. Like, it's very easy. You can be there in between the lines, just dictating play. You're free. No one's tackling you. No one's, it's not that kind of game. So I think the key for Cole Palmer now is, can he affect games where, Chelsea aren't free scoring, now everything's going their way. And can he produce that magic? 89th minute, you've been fighting a low block for 89 minutes. Can you produce it then? Can you win games for Chelsea? Can you come deep and just dictate play from deep and not even be involved in the end result, but just help Chelsea be better in those situations? I think that's the next hurdle for the man. But speaking of Aston Villa, man, this is the sort of form I remember Emery had at Arsenal in the second season where we'd had some great wins. I think I remember us beating Spurs in the North London derby, and then we followed it up with a disgusting loss in the Europa League. And it's just like, like it was when things worked, because I remember a few goals we scored in the Emery era. We scored some beautiful goals, like wonderful counter-attacking moves. But then we also had some games where we were just horrible. We're losing at home to teams like Crystal Palace, teams like Southampton, teams that are not even in the Premier League right now. I don't think so. I'm not too surprised that Emery's here again. But then again, we do have to understand that they are playing Champions League football now. And that is different. That is a different thing to have to deal with, especially when, you don't necessarily have world-class players in your team. So, Arsenal hadn't played Champions League football before last season for a while. But then we have Saliba at the back. We have Saka at the front. We have Declan Rice in the midfield. We have Ryan goal. Martinez, Watkins, Bailey, Kamara, McGinn, those are not the same. Ezri Konsa, it's not the same. It's just not the same. So you know, their best players have to play big minutes every week, and that could be having an effect. I can't pretend that it's not going to. And these are players who are not necessarily suited suited to that level. I'm sure Ezri Konsa, if you asked him if you as a 19-year-old if he was going to be playing in the Champions League and beating Bayern Munich, he would have probably told you, "What?" Like it's really like given what these guys were, it's incredible. So they're in that weird stage where they just get praise for being here and participating. And hey, man, you're in the Champions League. Enjoy it. That it's hard to criticize them fully, but at the same time, I think they should be concerned. They should go back and watch Arsenal 2019, 2018. Go back and watch the real Jekyll and Hyde performances where we're scoring 5 one game and we're losing by 3 the next. And because I feel like that's something that I don't know what it is about Emery's style of play and his coaching. Maybe because he's a little pragmatic and sometimes he allows teams to play. He doesn't, press high or like do things to disrupt the other team as much. Maybe that's it. I can't really say for sure, but yeah, they, enjoy it, guys. Enjoy it. In the Champions League, just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and they're actually not doing that bad in the Champions League. They're like currently ninth right now, and out of the 5 games they've played, they've won 3. So I think there's like a bunch of 10-pointers, like from 6th to 12th. They all have 10 points. So you know what? Like Aston Villa win their next game, then they can. Yeah. So right now they're kind of in the playoffs. So I don't know if like Emery right now is more concerned about Champions League than the Premier League. Like maybe that's why in the Premier League they're not, because they haven't won a game in 8 games. So yeah, so I don't know if that's what it is. I also don't know if Aston Villa are rich. Maybe Mongoro can speak to that. I don't know if they have I don't know what their fund situation is like for January, if they're able to buy new players. I don't know who they need to replace. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't watch enough Aston Villa games. Like I only care if Watkins scores, and these days he's not really doing that. And Duran, I don't know why Emery doesn't start him enough. I won't be surprised if Duran goes out on loan in January, just because the amount of goals he scored coming off the bench, I think deserve him a bit more respect. Like, all right, try at least have him in the games. Let him actually. So I don't know if they're beefing or something. I don't know what the situation is with Duran. So yeah, but anyway, I don't know what they need to do in January, if they need to do anything at all. But maybe that's the case. But yeah, I think we'll probably start getting into last thoughts here. So I'll just chuck it to you, Mongoro. Just if there's more information you can provide on the Aston Villa financial situation, perfect. And then any last thoughts you have on just Chelsea in general, you can go ahead.
I think the situation is pretty dire with Aston Villa. I think from a financial POV, in essence, because when you think about it, they did spend quite a lot over the summer. And just to add on to what Samson was saying, I think that's something that's affecting them is playing Champions League. They don't have the squad for it, like in terms of the players they're fielding. That's one aspect. The other aspect that I think we haven't mentioned is the number of injuries that they've had throughout the season. Like their big signings haven't either gelled or either injured. Like when you think about it, they brought in Ross Barkley's been in and out, Onana's out, Maatsen hasn't played as much. You look at the goal now, Martinez is potentially out. Mings, I think he's been out, in and out. And same thing up front, like some of the players that you can see. But one player I do want to mention is John Duran. I once saw John Duran play live when he was still playing at, I believe, Chicago Fire. And I don't know, he was not that convincing to me, like when he was playing for Chicago Fire. And then when I saw him move to the Premier League and join Aston Villa, I was like, oh, what an interesting turnaround. But that's besides the point. It was just an interesting observation there, listener, for you to know. But in all honesty, I think now heading back to Chelsea, There are a few things I do want to mention. I would like to thank Todd Bowley for his services. Todd Bowley, I think what he's done at Chelsea, he has humbled himself. I said we must stay humble, and he humbled himself. So I believe after the fiasco of Graham Potter and Tuchel and his sporting director drama, he humbled himself, and then he handed over the reins to Beradek Bali and Joe Shields and all these other guys that are now running the club, the guys that brought in Maresca. He even humbled himself over the summer when he wanted to keep Pochettino and Gallagher. And I told you guys that we need to get rid of both of those people. And look where we are now. And I would like to pose a question for both of you. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Chelsea games, but like, where would Conor Gallagher be today? Like in the Chelsea team, if you were to see him, I would probably have him playing with the kids. Probably send him to the kids. That's like just my thought on where it would be. I think I'd have Cesare Casadei ahead of him, Andre Santos. I'd even have myself ahead of Conor Gallagher playing in the middle of the park. In my native language, they call it Mbizeni, in the middle of the park there. So I would definitely have myself playing there, but that's besides the point. But like, yeah, I'd like to thank everything. It's been Chelsea fans. It's been a tumultuous the last couple of years. We should start to believe in Enzo Maresca, slowly but surely. I hear we have Tottenham Hotspur this Sunday. We're not going into that game confident or anything. We stay humble. We go there and we get a good result. I know we're playing Southampton next. Hopefully they'll be fielding Alex McCarthy, but we also stay humble there. We're just going there to get a good result. We're going there to simplify the game. We're going there to do the basics right. We're going there not to win, but like a win would be nice. But honestly, listener, Chelsea fans, stay humble. I will always preach that as a Chelsea supporter. We gotta stay humble. We're not making noise, and maybe one day we'll be doing something. I do believe, and I'll mention this: Maresca is cooking, and do you know what he's cooking? He's cooking oxtail. When are we gonna eat? I don't know. When you cook oxtail, it takes a very long time to be ready. And with Maresca, he said his oxtail is coming along very nicely. So, as Chelsea fans, we'll be preparing our dumplings and our beautiful rices and our plantains for the Maresca oxtail very soon. So, yeah, Samson, over to you, my brother.
Man, Spurs making me hungry. Oh man, yeah, Chelsea, a lot of reason to be optimistic. And you said you're playing Spurs this weekend. I'm seeing a 7-2, man. I won't say who has seven. I feel like you can figure it out. Well, one of you is going to have seven, the other is going to have two. Based on what how it all went down last year, I'm seeing another high scoring game. But yeah, Chelsea are looking good. Spurs, Mutsa can speak more to that. I don't speak about Spurs. But yeah, dear listener, thank you for hanging out with us. And as always, share, subscribe, and yeah, you've been hanging with the Forest Brothers.
Can I, as an Arsenal fan, Samson, can you weigh in? Maybe you know this. Why are Arsenal above Chelsea in the log tables on the log table when everything is level? Maybe you know. I'm baffled.
I don't know, man. I actually haven't looked at the table, because we both won, so I just assumed, it's the same. It's the same thing, who knows? I don't know.
Maybe it's alphabet, or maybe it's don't they sometimes like count who's had less fouls or who's had more assists? I don't know what metrics they use to say less yellow cards. Who knows? Who knows what decisions they make? But
typically it's goal difference than goals, but that's dependent on the league. I don't know what they do in the Premier League. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But in that game against Chelsea this coming weekend, Spurs, you never know what Spurs is going to show up. We're either going to get murked 5-0 by Chelsea. Cole Palmer has a wonderful hat trick. That's a possibility. That game last year, I still hate Chelsea for everything that happened. Like, really changed our season because that's the day we lost both Mickey Van der Ven and I think we had a red card and we had a hammy and so many wrong things happened. 2 red cards even, yeah. So I really do hope that we get a do-over this time around. And to be honest, once again, I really, really don't know with Spurs. Like, that's the thing. You just don't know what Spurs will turn out. We could either lose that game or we win that game very convincingly. And I'll be here on the podcast either gloating or I'll be hanging my head in shame. There's really no in between. Like, there's really, really no in between. So, I'll be ready though. Listener, we'll be ready. So anyway, listener, with that, actually, yeah. So let's look forward to that weekend game, and hopefully we get a Spurs win. We don't know though. It's a 50-50. Maybe a 70-30 to Chelsea. I would say. But anyway, listener, with that, thank you so much for hanging out with the First Brothers podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out. Do like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you're feeling, what you're vibing with, what we can do better. We're always trying to improve on our game here. So, yeah, whatever you feel like you need to tell us, please do. We appreciate any engagement that you feel is necessary. So with that, listener, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.